Hello students, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. Today we are going to discuss about a topic that has been in news recently regarding vaccine against malaria. So let us dive into this topic. The reason why it has been news since past few days is because the WHO or World Health Organization on Wednesday last week has allowed widespread use of world's first vaccine against malaria. If you look at this vaccine, then we can see it has been developed by GlaxoSmithKline, in short called as GSK, and it is also known as by the name of RTS-S/AS01, while the brand name of this vaccine has been called as Mosquirix. If you look at its application, so it has already been administered to nearly 800,000 or 8 lakh children in the African countries of Ghana, Kenya and Malawi as part of pilot programs since last 2 years. Now let us try to understand about the background of malaria and the associated vaccine. So the early evidence of malaria exists almost as long as 2700 BC, and the disease is believed to have contributed a great deal in the decline of the Roman Empire, the weakening of the indigenous populations during the American colonialism, and huge losses for British forces during the Revolutionary War, while at the same time it is responsible for death of thousands of American forces in the Indo-Pacific during World War II. If you look at the malaria prone region across the world, we can see the problem of malaria is primarily centered around Africa, which accounts for 94% of global malaria cases. The reason why the malaria is so prevalent in this African region is because, of course, the climate is very tropical. That means there is abundant heat, abundant rainfall. So both heat and humidity increases the lifespan of the mosquitoes, which gives the disease time to metastasize and spread from one individual to the other individual. The transmission of malaria is primarily done by a mosquito species that is called as Anopheles, and these species of mosquito develop very fast in the temperate waters found in the tropics. The lower standard of living as well as the poor sanitation conditions also prevent these countries from implementing control measures like use of mosquito nets, use of pesticides as well as rapid treatment on developing the malaria diseases. The importance, or we can say the deadly toll of malaria was recognized by Western countries before, and it was successfully eliminated by 1950s from most of the Western countries. This was largely done through supply side interventions by reducing the prevalence of mosquitoes in these regions. The Western states with their developed economies have been able to eradicate malaria carrying mosquitoes also due to improved sanitation and other control measures like insecticide and drugs. But the problem is, now it is believed that many strains of malaria have developed these days which are immune to such insecticides, and with the global climate change that is occurring due to pollution, increase in greenhouse gases, that can cause warming or relative warming of all these countries, and with the relative warming it is very much possible that malaria can re-emerge if proper control measures are not adopted. Apart from this, if you talk about the intervention by WHO, the countries which have achieved at least 3 consecutive years of zero indigenous cases, indigenous means the cases that is originating in the country itself, are declared free by the WHO. But as far as now, only 11 countries have reached that benchmark. However, globally we can say the elimination net is widening, and it is observed that in 2019, 27 countries have reported fewer than 100 indigenous cases of malaria compared to 6 countries in 2000. Now coming toward the vaccine. So the malaria vaccine, that is Mosquirix, has been developed with a partnership of GlaxoSmithKline as the global non-profit PATH's Malaria Vaccine Initiative with a grant of funds from Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. The vaccine is a kind of recombinant protein vaccine. That means it includes DNA from more than one source. And how it works, if we try to understand this, so it actually targets a protein that is called as circumsporoside, which is found in Plasmodium falciparum, This is the deadliest malarial parasite globally and the most prevalent one in Africa. But the problem with this vaccine is that it does not offer any kind of protection against Plasmodium vivax malaria, which predominates in many countries outside of Africa. So, basically what we can understand that this vaccine is vaccine can have more effectiveness or higher level of effectiveness in African countries as compared to other countries, especially Asia. The vaccines, effectiveness of vaccine, if we try to understand, is it requires 4 injection in the children who are younger than 5 years old. The efficacy of this vaccine is modest as demonstrated in phase 3 trials that occurred between 2009 to 14 on around 15,000 young children and infants in 7 African countries. And it was found that this administration of 4 doses has prevented 39% cases of malaria over 4 years of follow-up and 29% cases of severe malaria with significant reductions in overall hospital admissions was also observed. Now, let us try to understand that why development of malaria vaccine is important. So, we know that malaria is one of the deadliest diseases in the human history that we have discussed already before and has claimed millions of lives till now. And even today, it kills over 4 lakh people every year according to the data provided by WHO. It is most endemic in Africa with countries like Nigeria, Congo, Tanzania, Mozambique, Niger and Burkina Faso. The challenges in vaccine development has been numerous. The one challenge itself is we can see is because the development of first vaccine of malaria Mosquirix has taken almost 30 years of research and development. The reason behind this is the parasite's life cycle. The parasite that is responsible for cause of malaria is very complex, that also includes not only mosquitoes, but human liver and human blood stages too. Also, the second problem is that these are able to hide inside human cells and thus they avoid being recognized by the immune system, creating further challenges in vaccine development. The next challenge or the next problem is because all these studies and research or development is carried out by using mouse as a model, but the problem is that the rodent specific malarial parasites like Plasmodium burgei, Plasmodium yoi and Plasmodium chabaudi, the immune response pattern observed in these kind of models are not fully transferable to humans. Thus, what we can understand is that the effectiveness of vaccine or the working of vaccines can be very different in mouse on which the study is conducted as compared to the humans, which are our ultimate target. Apart from that, there are certain other challenges as well. The first is that there is a lack of funding and interest in developing a malaria vaccine, obviously because malaria is disproportionately affecting only low middle income countries and that countries lack the robust infrastructure. The second is the incentive for malaria vaccine manufacturers are very less as they are the poor people who are suffering from the malaria. So, they will not have any big profit if they engage themselves in development of such vaccines. The other is the distribution will again remain complicated and as the vaccine require 4 doses that should be spread across 1 year and thus making sure that people complete the full dose will again be a challenge. Additionally, there are questions over how the vaccine will be manufactured and how the technology will be given the license along with the crucial distribution. Now, we try to understand that what is the perspective or prospective of availability of vaccine in India. So, actually in January 2021, the GSK, GlaxoSmithKline, PATH and Bharat Biotech have signed a product transfer agreement to help ensure the long-term supply of RTS-S vaccine. However, experts feel that there is no immediate rush actually to introduce such vaccines in India because the malaria, though we can say that it is of concern in India, the burden has reduced drastically through interventions such as anti-malarial drugs, mosquito nets and application of insecticides. You can see from the fact that in 2010 in India there has been 1018 deaths by malaria, which has been reduced to mere 93 by the year 2020. So, apart from that, the other fact is also that the efficacy of vaccine is not very high, it is modest, especially if we try to compare this with the efficacy rate of recent COVID vaccines, that is almost 60-70%. The malaria vaccine's efficacy is very modest. And officials with the National Malaria Control Program said that a vaccine has to give protection of over at least 65%. so that its implementation or its introduction in the Indian market can be utilized. So, that is all for today. Thank you very much.